Testing 1, 2, test, test.
So I'm going to call our meeting to order. Today is November 15th, 2022. This is a business meeting of the North Kingstown School Committee. I'd ask for a motion to recess to executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42464 for a discussion of any discussion of job performance, character, or physical or mental health of a person or persons, provided that such persons affected have been notified in advance in writing and advised that they may require that the discussion be held in an open meeting pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42465A1, and they have been so notified, and the minutes shall so reflect. Sessions pertaining to potential litigation and legal advice and collective bargaining pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42465A2, and discussions of investigative proceedings regarding allegations of misconduct, civil or criminal, pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42465A4. I could have a motion. Motion from Ms. Lima. Second from Mr. Case. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. We will be in executive session. We will return at approximately 7 o'clock. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to call our meeting to order. Today is November 15th, 2022, and this is a business meeting of the North Kingstown School Committee. I'd ask if everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, if you could please call the calendar.
Mr. Blasbach?
Oh, wait, sorry, I did it wrong. Roll call, please. Sorry.
She did it right.
You did it right. Here.
Mrs. Hildebrand? Here. Mrs. Hoskins? Here. Mrs. Lima? Here. Mr. Case? Here. Mrs. Schott? Here. Gabriel Anthony?
Thank you. And now if you could please call the calendar.
November 23rd through the 25th, Thanksgiving break, there will be no school. Monday, December 5th, will be the biennial organizational meeting. Tuesday, December 13th, school committee business meeting. Holiday recess will be Friday, December 23rd through January 2nd, no school. Subcommittee meetings. This Monday, November 21st, DEI. Tuesday, December 6th, CLAC meeting.
Thank you. Okay, next item on our agenda is a RICAS overview presentation by Dr. Clark. I want to, before I even do that, I want to introduce Dr. Paolucci, who this is our first meeting with our new interim superintendent. So welcome to the table. And I don't know if you wanted to do a brief introduction of the presentation, or we'll just hand it over to Dr. Clark, either or.
Well, I was planning to hand it right over to Dr. Clark. I want to remind everyone, too, that what we're doing is providing an overview tonight. This is quick from the time that we received the results. We will further analyze the results, and what we're hoping to also do is to get questions so that we can make sure we focus the more detailed presentation on the results in a way that meets everyone's needs and answers the questions the community has. So thank you.
Thank you, and we'll go down so that we can see the presentation better. Thank you.
Seconds. Let's try again. There we go. Good evening, everyone. As Dr. Paolucci just mentioned, I'm here to present an overview of the state assessment data. This is going to be very high level with the hopes of gathering questions from the school committee and coming back on December 13th to provide a more in-depth, greater analysis of the data based on the questions from the committee. So a little bit of background. Our RICAS assessment is administered in grades 3 through 8. This is the 4th year of implementation of this assessment. In 2020, it was canceled due to the pandemic. 98% of our students were tested this past spring in 2022. The SAT is used for our grade 11 state assessment, and the PSAT is used for grade 10 state assessment. So we'll be going over the highlights of all of these. We'll also be talking about the NGSA, which is our science assessment that is given in grades 5, 8, and 11. So you can see here a very high-level overview with our statewide averages of students that are proficient or exceeding, and our district-wide. We are, well above the state level, and we are going to highlight some of our successes, but also highlight some areas that we definitely need to grow in. So I just wanted to give this very high-level view of where we stand based on the state averages. The first breakdown here is the RICAS math assessment. So you can see we followed the state trend of increasing our scores. So those levels that are those in Math 2022, where you see the green boxes, those are indicating an increase in scores over the Math 2021 data. Where you see the star, we just wanted to highlight that we are higher than pre-COVID. So prior to COVID, we have come up and kind of rebounded. But, you know, this is exciting news. We are happy that we are growing in the area of math. I just want to say that our math curriculum at the elementary level, we adopted high quality curriculum 3 to 5 years ago, depending on the grade and the building at the elementary, and we are rolling it up through the middle, and the high school was the last to adopt this year. So we have stayed the course with this high quality curriculum. I think we are reaping the benefits of it. So we are pleased with these results, and congratulations to Stony Lane, Fishing Cove, Forest Park, and our overall district average for coming back after the pandemic and being higher than those scores pre-pandemic. These are the RICAS reading scores. Obviously, they tell a different story, and this is where we definitely are hunkering down, looking at the data, doing a deeper analysis to find out what we can do differently. Obviously, I could stand up here and say that there are tons of things that go factor into this. Our absenteeism rates coming back off of COVID, 20% of our students were distance learning for a year and a half. There's lots of things we could say, but the work needs to be done, and we need to recoup these scores and bring them higher than we were even pre-pandemic. So we are focused on doing that, and we are staying the course. We have adopted high-quality curriculum. Last year was our first year of adoption in K-5. We are in our second year of adoption in 6 through 8. We believe that staying the course with those curriculums, we will reap the benefits and we will recover from this. But obviously a deeper analysis, taking it down to the item analysis at the student level, is going to benefit us to really dig deep into where we can improve, what we need to do. I'm going to talk a few slides from now about some of the programs that we have in place to recover from this. Again, our NGSA scores, this is our science assessment scores that are given in grades 5, 8, and 11. Some celebration here in our grade 5, where we again have come back from pre-COVID scores, and we are showing improvement. Obviously, there are also some areas that we need to look at a little bit deeper and make some changes and figure out what we can do to improve our science scores. These are showing the Math SAT and Math PSAT scores. This again, in the SAT scores, we were against the general trend in the state, which is a decrease. We actually increased our scores. But the PSAT, we did not increase our score over last year. And these are the ELA SAT scores. So again, following the state trend of decreasing, with the SAT, quite a great decrease there. We have some work to do, and we're bringing in some new programming at our high school level to combat this. PSAT scores are looking a little bit better, and remember, we are well above the state average here, so to keep that level is difficult, but we plan on bringing that back and showing the growth in those areas. So initiative to support future growth. As I mentioned the last time I was here, we are overhauling our MTSS framework. That is our multi-system tiers of support. That is the program that we use to identify students who are at risk or needing additional support. We provide them with additional support throughout the school day in math and reading to bring them up to close those gaps and to support them with COVID learning loss and just general support throughout the school day. As I mentioned, high quality curriculum adoption, and we're continuing to support that with professional development provided by the vendors. We're doing lab classroom days of opening classrooms up for other teachers to come in and really be critical about how we're implementing these programs and how we can best meet the needs of our students. As I also mentioned the last time I was here, the additional staffing. We have hired 3 elementary interventionists, 1 middle school math interventionist, a high school interventionist, an additional MLL teacher to support our English language learners, and a K-8 reading specialist. So all of those are in place to boost our student scores and provide the support where necessary. We're also, we have some ESSER funding to provide tutoring now that first quarter grades are coming out shortly. So those are students that are at risk after first quarter grades. We will provide small group tutoring. Our summer school programming, we continue to try to make that a larger program to continue the learning so we can combat the summer slide and even close those gaps over the summer months. And additional enrichment programs. We know that students need to find enrichment opportunities to find the joy in school, and that does help their academics as well. So we continue to provide additional support in those programs. So next steps and resources. There is a link here, and this presentation will be going up on our website. RIDE has a page for educators and parents to review and drill down into a deeper analysis of this by subjects, grades, schools, and subgroups. That is part of the reporting that we hope to come back on December 13th and provide all of you. I know people are, this high level tells one story, but when you dig down, what can we really learn from the analysis of the scores? Our school data teams and teachers will be meeting to analyze the scores all the way down to that item analysis. Where did third grade students, where were they successful in the math test? Where were the areas that were weaker? What can we do with our pacing to boost those scores in that area? Same thing with our reading. Was it the writing assessment that caused our students some decline in scores, or was it something else, and what can we do to provide that support as we go throughout this year? I just want to let the community know and families know that the printed RICAS and NGSA scores will be sent home this year with the RICAS. There is a nice video link for families to review, and it really situates their own student scores and explains the scores and how they can use them to determine their child against an explanation of the scoring. So those will be sent home by the end of this month. We are working to get those sorted, and they will be delivered via Backpack Express with a letter going home ahead of time telling families exactly when they're going to come home so they can expect those. And again, the deeper dive. So I will be back on December 13th along with my colleague, Shivali Finkelstein, the assistant principal of teaching and learning at the high school. She will be digging deeper into PSAT, SAT, and our AP exams and giving you some overview of those. And I will be providing a deeper analysis into the RICAS and the NGSA scores, following subgroup analysis, trend analysis, programmatic responses, district comparisons, because I know those are always helpful to see. Where did we fall with other like districts throughout the state? And questions from the school committee. So I ask that you email me your questions, and we'll be more than happy to provide the analysis that fits your needs of things that you're wondering and questioning about. Any questions at this time?
Hello? Okay. Any members of the school committee have any questions? Ms. Lima?
So thank you for the presentation. I appreciate the fact that you said that you're going to be coming back with more detail later, because I know a lot of people are interested in that. Mm-hmm. I know I sent you and Dr. Paolucci some specific items that I had concerns about. I'm particularly interested in seeing the subgroup numbers and the plans that are put in place to address some of the disparities in those numbers. They're also I'm also interested to see when you come back with that to know what targeted the programmatic responses. I'll be interested to see what specific programs are targeted for which specific subgroups. So if you wouldn't mind putting that together as well,
sure,
that would be great.
And maybe by school?
Yes, we will definitely break this down. We just wanted to stay very high level for today, knowing we have more committee members joining us after the 5th, so we'll give kind of a more extensive look at the data by school, by grades, breaking it down.
So this is a little bit of a more personal question, but the 8th graders that took it last year, how do their parents get the scores? Does the high school
The
distribute
high
those?
school will be distributing those. So
Okay.
same for the fifth graders, the middle schools
Yep.
will be distributing. So that's what we're doing right now is sorting them all out so that they get to the right school to be distributed.
Okay, and you may have said this, and I don't remember what slide it was. It went pretty fast, but in some places, our scores were higher the year immediately after COVID and have dropped since then. And I was just wondering if you have any idea why that might be, any speculation?
I certainly do. I mean, it's so tough to speculate that there's one thing that caused some of that. When I look at our attendance rates, we had 30% chronic absenteeism last year because of quarantining due to COVID that we know was very prevalent in the beginning of the year. We had some classes shut down and things like that. So when we look at our absenteeism, they were high. We also have to acknowledge that 20% of our population were distance learning for a year and a half. Coming off of that, I know those scores went up and then back down. You also have to look at the cohorts and pockets of when these students were out distance learning and the crucial years of hands-on development and multisensory approaches to some of, especially in the reading, and the impact that had. Again, I'm not here to excuse any of it. We need to own this data, and we need to move forward with what we plan to do for next steps to bring those scores back up to where we know they can be. But, there's lots of things that weigh into as we start to analyze and break down the data as to what could have caused it. Definitely when you see it by school, it tells a little bit different story. So we definitely need to own that and to know that we are putting our resources where the needs are. Definitely with those ESSER positions that I mentioned. There are full-time positions that we did not split because we looked at our STAR scores, which are mirroring this, and we saw where the needs are, and we're definitely going to be responsive now that we have this additional information about students' achievement of where we need to put the resources that we currently have.
Okay, and last question. Beyond the video that parents can watch, if parents have more specific questions, where would they go to get those answers? Do they come to go to their students' teachers? They go to
Typically,
you?
I mean, the report that comes with it does explain the scores by percentile ranking and by growth scores and things like that. And then the video definitely, I saw a quick snippet of one. It was an actual one, but it does show how the scores were calculated and how they calculate that growth score. Again, the growth score only shows up if you've taken the test previous, and how they compare that against the national norm and things like that. So, but definitely reaching out to the student's teacher, to myself, to building principals, and we are definitely going to take our time over the next several months to really dig into this and get down to the finite analysis of each student, each question, and what we need to do.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. You kind of touched on it briefly, but do you think after you do this deep dive and you get more specifics and everything like that, do you think there's a possibility you'll be reallocating some of those ESSER funds that are still left in order to do that? Is that what the goal is?
That is the plan, should they open up the amendment period, but we also have the flexibility with those 5 interventionists, the MLL and the reading specialists, to change their placement right now. We let those, the people that bid into those jobs, let them know up front that they were very flexible. We call them itinerants for the fact that they don't have a home school. They're split based on the data. So we will be looking at that along with the STAR winter scores to make those determinations.
Okay, thank you very much. No other questions? Okay, thank you. So again, Dr. Clark, thank you very much for the presentation. Look forward to hearing, and I know we'll have the next time. It's going to be a different committee, a couple new faces, but I know that we're all anxious to see, just even as parents, how that data looks when we are able to see more detail with it. So next item on the agenda are citizens' comments. I don't know, has anyone signed up? Okay. I don't think there's anyone. Raise your hand if you did. No, you're all set. So If you wanted to, you have an opportunity. Going once. Okay, thank you very much. So next item would be superintendent's report. So again, for the first time, we're introducing Dr. Paolucci for her first superintendent's report. So welcome to the table, and I'll turn things over to you.
Thank you. So first, I'd like to thank staff and members of the community for giving me such a warm welcome. It's been a very productive few weeks here in North Kingstown. I am visiting each school individually. I have 3 more schools to go later this week. And that allows me to really get a sense of the culture of the school, speak with the principal about the needs of the school, and get to know the staff who work at each school. And so that has been very productive. At the same time, we're starting on budget season. So I've already started on that process, met with district administrators, and any projects that were started are simply continuing. So I've hit the ground running, and I've really enjoyed these last few weeks here. What I want to do just briefly is just tell you how great the sports programs have been doing too, and I wanted to make sure that I listed those. Field hockey, we have Division I champions. Girls soccer, Division I state champs as well. Girls volleyball, Division I state champions. Unified volleyball, Division I state champs. Football lost to LaSalle Academy in the semifinals, but really did a fantastic job. Boys cross country, Jackson Borge was 4th place in the state championship. And boys soccer Division I runner-up, we lost to SK in finals. The score was 3-1. So it was definitely an exciting last couple of weeks in the athletics programs here. The third thing I wanted to mention tonight is I reviewed the budget calendar for the town and met with the town manager. And I have in front of you right now a draft budget calendar that includes the key dates for the town process, as well as some key dates for when our administrators need to submit budgets to central office, and what we're doing in order to prepare the budget for you. Of particular note, I wanted to make sure that I noted that I'd like to schedule a budget workshop for the school committee at a regularly scheduled school committee meeting that would be on Tuesday, the 7th of February. So at that time, we'd be presenting kind of the big budget drivers and the staffing plan, and really doing it in a workshop setting so that we can get input from the school committee, questions and so on. And then we still have 2 weeks to further refine the budget based on that input so that the school committee can vote on the budget on Tuesday, the 21st of February. As you know, the deadline for submission of school committee budget to the town managers by the end of February. And so working backwards, I believe this budget calendar will serve the district well. At each stage in the process, I'll be communicating what things look like, what are some significant budget drivers and so on, to keep the committee well informed. I'm also planning to meet with the town manager throughout this process so that we have open lines of communication about the school department needs and how we could work together in order to present a budget that it meets the community's needs as well. And so if you have any questions about the budget calendar, let me know and I'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you very much. So I just want to take a couple moments of my own here. We just had an election, and I want to congratulate the 2 successful candidates, which are Erin Earl and Tom Briotti, both of which are here this evening. So I welcome you once you're sworn in to join the committee, and I'm looking forward to see everything that you're going to do and everything that you'll have to add. So congratulations to both of you. I also want to thank all of the candidates who ran, Ms. Kosminski, Ms. Simus, Mr. Gallo, and Mr. Jones. It takes a lot to throw your hat in that ring, to put yourself out there in the community, and to run for office. And I want to thank each and every one of them. And in particular, I know people's work schedules are different and not everyone can get to meetings and everything, but Ms. Kosminski and Ms. Simus both were at meetings for months, and as were the two successful candidates. And I just want to recognize the time that they put into their run and thank them very much for doing that. I also want to thank Ms. Hildebrand, Lisa. The two of us have been working together for a long time. We're both, I think people know, we did not run for re-election, so this is our last meeting. It's been an absolute pleasure working with you. What you folks don't see behind the scenes is, the Open Meetings Act allows you to talk to one person. Lisa's my one person. If I still had a cell phone bill with hours billing, I would be in big trouble because we've had a lot of conversations over the years and have worked very well together, and I can't thank you enough. And I also want to take a moment to thank, to some people this may seem weird, but I truly mean it from my heart. I want to thank every single person who has ever come to that microphone to speak at a school committee meeting. Every single one of you. Public comment is very important to me, and democracy is very important to me, and it's important that people have an opportunity to be heard. We might not always agree or act on what you want, but you have the right to speak and you have a right to be heard, and I've done everything that I can during my tenure here to defend that ability, and I hope that I've been able to do that fairly. But so to each and every one of you over the time that I've been here, I thank you for taking part and participating in the process and for standing up for what you believe in. But this is my last meeting. It's been an amazing experience. I'm glad that I've been able to have the opportunity to serve the town in this way, and I look forward to being continually involved in our town, just in different ways. So that's my last bit. So from there, we'll get on to business. Oh, yep, go right ahead.
Going too fast, Greg, as usual. So on behalf of the rest of the school committee, I definitely want to thank you. You took some of my thunder that I was going to talk about our endless phone calls and meetings and everything that goes into being on this stage, but particularly being the chair of this committee is a lot of work. And I'm not sure everybody realizes that Greg has been on this committee for 8 years, been chair almost that same amount of time, and prior to that, and I think he's very proud of this, attended almost every single meeting for 4 years before that. So the institutional knowledge and the historical information that he retains in his brain is so valuable. And I joked with him today, and I still don't believe him, that I do believe that he will be able to continue to support the remaining members of the school committee and our new members as well, just in a very different kind of way. But it is very much a thankless job. Everyone knows that, especially the last couple of years have been particularly hard, and I am honored to have served alongside of him. So this town really owes him a debt of gratitude, and I think maybe our administrators have something for him too, and we also have something that I'll pass along. This is, they tell me, is called a tree of prosperity. I don't know if that's going to translate into actual money, but what I do think it will translate into, which I know will translate into, is more time back in his schedule. The amount of time that he will gain back is probably very, very important to his family and to his mental health and life in general, and so it is much deserved, or well deserved. So,
thank you very much. Thank you very, very much.
And from the school department, I have a small token of our appreciation to both Greg and Lisa for all of your years of dedication to not only the taxpayers, but also the students who don't pay taxes just yet, and all of our staff members. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Should I open it? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you both very much.
Reading my mind. That is exactly what I wanted to get here.
Thank you guys very much. I never banged a gavel there is a gavel. I never used it. Even at the worst meetings, I never used it. Thank you guys very, very much.
Jenny says maybe you did it once.
Oh, maybe I did it once. Okay, fine. Thank you guys very much. And again, I also want to add, it's been an absolute pleasure working with the administration over the years, the staff members, the teachers, everyone in this district. The best part of it was getting to know as many of them as I possibly could and just realizing, the dedication that everyone has, how much work you guys put in. And I can't thank everybody enough. So it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. But as you know, I get right down to business. So we're going to get right down to business again. Okay. So having done that, for routine items, we have, I need a motion to seal the executive session minutes of November 15th, 2022.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Motion from Ms. Hoskins, second from Ms. Hildebrand. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes unanimously. And I can disclose that we did not have any votes in this evening's executive session. Do any members have any items they'd like to exempt from the consent agenda? I'd like to do D1. And also E1.
Yeah.
Yes? No, I was going to say E1. You got it? Okay, yep, we got it. Any others? If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve the non-exempted consent agenda items. So a motion from Ms. Hoskins, second from Mr. Case. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes unanimously. So for D1, I would like to get a motion to approve. I just wanted to get a quick explanation of this particular one. If I could get a motion to approve D1. Motion from Ms. Lima, second from Ms. Hoskins. Mr. Waterman, could you speak briefly to this?
Yes, so as many of you may recall, over the past years, we've been able to benefit from National Grid's rebates as far as going to more efficient lighting. The opportunity presented itself to do the same for our stadium lights, which is an upgrade we had been looking at in the upcoming years. We were fortunate that we were able to take advantage of approximately $75,000 in rebates that will help to offset the cost of this program. There are also going to be energy savings as these lights are far more efficient. As I mentioned in the documentation, the return on investment is approximately 7 years as to where, our initial investment we will have realized savings in electricity costs. The timing of this, I know that has come up as to why. There are a few things we're taking advantage of right now. One is when the rebates are available. Also, for those of you that have been to the stadium, have noticed that we have a pet who lives up in the stands, and we are only allowed to do projects when our pet Osprey has flown south or north or wherever an Osprey flies. I'm not quite sure on that. I figured it was south, but we can take advantage of it while they are not present. So we have been in contact with DEM. Also, what's come up, and it's not highlighted in here because we were still discussing it, but one of the things we're actually going to be able to take advantage of if approved this evening is the vendor is looking for a community in the Rhode Island, Mass, Connecticut area to actually add lights to these. So, for example, during the national anthem, we'll be able to push a button and the field will be red, white, and blue. Or if there's a pink out game, during pregame, we can shade the field. So that's approximately a $30,000 upgrade that we're getting at no cost.
Thank you very much. And I just want to point out, this is something that we've been planning for some time. We'd hoped to do it as part of the bond, but as costs tend to do, it was one of the items that we had to eliminate. So glad that we could find another way to get it done. And, it's one of those types of things that, while it takes a little time to recoup the investment, it's definitely energy saving compared to the, current type of lights that we have that have been there for so long. And it's an upgrade that's been long overdue. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Mr. Waterman, thank you for all your work on that. And then item E1, if I could get a motion to approve the athletic director contract. A motion from Ms. Hoskins, second from Mr. Case. If I could just get a brief introduction of the person that you're proposing, and we'll vote from there.
So after our previous athletic director resigned, we had a posting that went out for a few weeks. We had an interview team that was made up of student athletes, parent representatives, coaches, administrators from both the middle and high school, and we brought in 7 individuals for interviews. It was further narrowed down to 4 who were brought back for a second round of interviews. And I'm pleased to present David Tober, who is currently the principal of Cole Middle School, as the final candidate. If approved this evening, he has a start date of December 15th.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Yes.
Mr. Chair, this may be a question for you, but I know we had some questions about why the process and how it was handled and why it didn't come before the school committee to approve the actual hiring of the person. I know we're approving the contract, but could you just shed some light on it? I think it might be good for the public to understand that process.
And I'll
And
mention
Mr. Waterman,
to our attorney, if I get any of this wrong, you jump in and tell me. And I've had an email or two asking this question, and part of this is a little bit of a personal opinion on this. So up until about 2 years ago, when you read the statute of what the powers and duties of a school committee were, the powers and duties of the school committee included the advice and consent over all hires within the district. The General Assembly removed that power from the school committees in all of Rhode Island. So we no longer have the power to reject an individual candidate. When there is a candidate for a position that requires a contract, the school department must still approve that contract, but not the person. And that actually creates an interesting conundrum, and it's sort of an intellectual conversation. But the general assumption is what you'd do if you didn't like the person is you'd say, sure, you can pay them about $1 an hour, and if they'll take it, we'll hire them. But that's why that works that way. So we're approving the contract. So there are many hires now that happen throughout the district that we used to vote on very routinely. In our consent agenda, personnel items used to be a slew of teachers, a slew of coaches. It was everything. Now we simply get a report from the administration on a regular basis saying these are the people we hired, just so you know. The logic behind it from the General Assembly's point of view apparently was they felt that politics was playing too much of a part in some districts' hiring practices. I think that was the general idea. This is the opinion part. I can get that when you're talking about education and teachers in particular. Where I personally have a serious problem with it is I think the school committee should be approving the assistant superintendent, and the school committee should be approving the person that is your finance director. But technically we don't have that power but for the contract. So that's the answer to your question. And am I wrong on any of that?
You're correct.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. So we're approving the contract today. Any other questions? If not, we have a motion and a second on the table. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Well, congratulations. We have a new athletic director. For unfinished business, we have the 2021-22 school budget. I don't think we have anything other than, no, nothing. So 2022-23 budget. We have some miscellaneous budget adjustments. I'd ask for a motion to approve. I have a motion from Ms. Hoskins. Second from Ms. Hildebrand. Any discussion on those? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? It passes unanimously. And for CIP, existing bond, future bond, I don't think we have anything to discuss this evening. For new business, Dr. Paolucci, if you could just quickly mention the details of the NEARI correspondence. So we have some work coming up for us.
Yes. As you know, the NEARI contract with our teachers is up for renewal at the end of this year. So we received notification from NEARI to go into negotiations. And so I prepared a response simply explaining that we have new committee members. I'm new to the district, and so a short time after we reconstitute the school committee, I will be back in touch with them, and we will talk through beginning those negotiations in earnest.
Thank you very much. So one of your first items that you'll need to start working on is identifying which members of the new school committee you're going to want to serve on a negotiating team with the teachers union, and then start working on that process. So that is that item. And then in the we have a number of reports. Anyone have any questions on those? And do we have any details on the Wellness Committee update? Yep. Ms. Lima.
So the Wellness Subcommittee has met 2 times in the past month. We've got 4 more meetings scheduled before the end of the school year. I think next one is in January. At the first meeting, the members introduced themselves because it's a newly reformed, recharged committee, and then discussed their reasons for wanting to participate. Then we reviewed the state law and the school committee charge around the policy. It was agreed by everybody there that the current policy should be reviewed and an updated version drafted with an eye towards expanding what wellness actually includes and what wellness actually means. At the meeting we had last week, policies from several other districts were discussed and best practices for how to create a policy were reviewed. Conversations about how to best incorporate mental health, the health curriculum including sexual health, and encouraging physical activity for middle and high school grade levels in the policy took place. The Rhode Island Healthy School Coalition has a screening tool that districts can use to evaluate their policies, and we intend to use that while drafting the new one. The next meeting is scheduled for January 11th and is a working meeting of the subcommittee. And I just want to note that lastly, since this is Trans Awareness Week, I would be remiss not to mention that a crucial component of any wellness initiative is providing a safe, supportive environment for everyone, regardless of their gender identity, race, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, or visible and invisible disability. And that's something that we hope to look at with the new wellness policy, is really expand what wellness is. It's more than just physical wellness, it's mental wellness, and it encompasses a lot more than what that current policy says.
Thank you very much. So then, other than that, I already mentioned we had the financial reports. If there are no other questions on any of the reports, we've reached the end of the agenda, and I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. A motion from Mr. Case, second from Ms. Hoskins. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes unanimously. We are adjourned. Thank you very much for coming. I should have.